Hello, I'm Scott Hamilton and welcome to On the Turntable on the third half, formerly and sometimes still called Musician of the Month, renamed every 5 minutes but still doing the same thing. Each month we pick one artist, have a chat and then roll straight into their music, which will be used throughout the month to underpin the third half, simple as that. This month it's Marseille, a young band out of Derby, with a sound that somehow nods to Manchester Merseybeat and a bit of psychedelica without feeling like a tribute act. Will, good to have you on. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Scott. How are you?
I'm not bad at all. Listen, I have a full confession. We were talking about this before we started recording here. I have to say, for everybody listening, I did stumble across you on Facebook, which sounds a bit stalkerish and a bit weird, doesn't it? I stumbled across you on Facebook, but I can't remember. I was just scrolling and then one of your tracks came up and I thought, oh my God, I was like, I had been kind of transposed back to the late 80s or something like that. It just sounded like a sound from my heyday when I was living in Manchester and listening to a lot of that stuff. So I am personally delighted to have you on the show here and talking to us today.
Yeah, well, I guess to your point, I think the world needs bands that are doing proper songs again, I think, more than ever. I think that we're approaching a human renaissance again. In the next few years, we will be anyway.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like, I still love going to see. I mean, I was brought up in a healthy or unhealthy diet. I studied in Glasgow of guitar bands, like in the 80s. And then, as I say, I was working in Manchester when the whole Manchester thing took off. And I still have a penchant for going and seeing indie bands up and down the country. So it's great. So listen, let's get into it. Give us the origin story. How did Marseille actually come together as a band?
So, like, I've always just done music when I was in school. I've always gravitated towards it. I mean, I think as soon as it became apparent that I wasn't going to be a footballer, I thought I've always loved music, so I'm going to learn how to play guitar and stuff like that. And that's how it came about. I started a band with my mates. Then when we finished school, that sort of all went separate ways, and Marseille started just after lockdown, really. So Tom, our drummer, came back from uni when I was looking for musicians. So he was in Birmingham at uni. He came back to Derby and then he joined. One of my mates from school was on guitar, so that's Joe. Found Lennon at an open mic, and then Ben is Lennon's mate. So that's how Ben joined.
So this is all. Are y'all county fans?
I don't think the others really follow football, which kind of feels like a prisoner in my own band. I'm like, who do I talk to this about? Yeah, I guess so. They follow it every now and again. They just, when I rock up and I'm in a good mood, they're like, "Oh, Derby have won." Or if I'm in a bad mood, they know what's happened. So
do they all look at the results before they come to rehearsals then? And
that fully depends on whether they turn up. I make life hell for them.
And is anybody so nobody from the original school band is in Marseille then? It's all kind of new.
Joe is the guitarist. He's the original one, yeah. But that kind of fell on its face after school. But it's all right. That wasn't a very good band anyway. We always argued, and I feel like in school you're meant to get on with each other. Whereas in Marseille, you don't argue. I think everybody knows their place in it, and everyone gets on. So.
You only argue when you have that spectacular breakup, when you're famous and like the Smiths.
Yeah, we skipped to the end straight away. we skipped to the end straight away. We did with that band, but Marseille, no, it still feels as fresh and as exciting as when it started. Probably even more so.
Brilliant. And listen, let's talk about the sound. So you've got this, as I say, this kind of mix of Manchester, Merseybeat, psych. I mean, and it feels like a very deliberate sound, or is that just what fell out when you started playing, when you started to learn to play the guitar?
Well, I kind of have a mindset that you need to make music that you want to make, because if you make stuff that you don't want to make and try to appease other people, then it's not going to be very good. So I just try and do whatever falls out of me, really, as you say. And that's a lot of the music I grew up with, like, just because my dad's a huge music fan. And whenever we went on like caravan holidays or anything like that, that's what you're exposed to in the back, because it's all you'd be the soundtrack for 4 hours. Because being from Derby, I think the nearest seaside's about 3 hours away. So yeah, that's all you'd listen to, and it's naturally rubbed off on me. Um, I just sort of sit in my room and just make whatever I want to make, and if it's cool, it's cool, and take it to the band.
Brilliant. And listen, my kids are probably exactly the same. Actually, I think they all listen to a lot of stuff that I used to listen to. But also, we went on a holiday once, and we had a Monty Python live album, and now they kind of all they can recite many a verse from Monty Python over the years, which is a sad feeling on their part. But hey,
I feel like that would get lost on a lot of people their age.
absolutely, 100%. That's it when they start sort of like doing the lumberjack or Eric the Halfabee, and people go, "Hey, what's going on with you?" And actually, so a little bit off script here. I hadn't thought about this, but do you go and see a lot of bands? And see when you go and see them, can you see bands that are playing stuff that they, to your point, don't quite believe in or not passionate about, and they're going through the motions because they think that's the order of the day?
I can't say there's any upcoming bands that do that. I mean, you can generally tell when an album's rubbish. They've made it to like appease what they think their fans like, and it's never usually the band's first album because that's sort of them. Like this is their first statement to the world. This is what they're about. It's when they try and either follow that up or make something that they think, oh right, we've done that now. We need to do this. And I think it's important that even if your second album is a huge detachment from the first one, it will suffer less if you're making something you actually enjoy. I mean, you mentioned about going to gigs. I kind of moan that people, especially young people, they save all their money and go to like festivals or go to one big gig, and then they've got no money to spend like £10 on seeing a new grassroots band. But I'm kind of guilty of it as well because I sort of, especially over the past year or so, because Oasis got back together. It's like I'm not missing that. I'm going to that. Broke the bank on that. And then I went to go see Gorillaz
Oh
a
yeah.
few weeks ago. Nottingham Motorpoint. So that also broke the bank. And I saw Radiohead at the end of last year. So I've seen all of these bands and just broke my bank account. When really I think sometimes feel a bit guilty, but they are my favourite bands, and it's not
Yeah.
every day that they're touring. So I had to go and do that. So I felt a bit guilty recently, but it is what it is.
It's quite difficult though. I mean, and I mean, I get it because I tend to, and I got maybe it's an age thing, but I don't do festivals and I don't do big stadia gig anymore either. And I feel as if I've got a bit of FOMO, not mofo, FOMO about it. Especially in Oasis, because I decided not to pay out to go and see Oasis, and kind of I was there first time around. Whereas I'd rather go and spend a tenner to see Marseille or My Girl the River or somebody else that's just emerging. But it's a balance, isn't it? And then you've also got the nostalgia trips of some of the bands coming back around, as we were talking off air about Tom Hingley and the like, who you can pay a tenner to go and see some, big acts from back before. So it's got the balance right. But I think to your point, supporting grassroots is as important as anything else. It's frustrating.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. I was going to say something about the grassroots thing, but I can't remember now. It was something about like I think we always make the tickets as cheap as we can
Yeah.
because young people need it. I think they need something they can get behind because you find it, and we said this when Liam Gallagher was just doing his solo stuff. It's like uh, they're gravitating towards that because that's the only thing that they feel like they can get behind. I mean, there's now Fontaines, there's Wonder Horse, and there's now Geese and stuff like that, which young people are now connecting themselves with. But at that point in time, it felt like they were only connecting to stuff that was 30 years old because there's not been anything since.
Mm.
So yeah, going to the Oasis point, I did not want to shell out 150 quid to go and see Oasis. The way I actually rationalised it into my head was actually if I get a ticket, then Ashcroft is probably very likely to support. And I absolutely love the Verve and Richard Ashcroft. So I just thought £75 for each, that's not bad at all.
That's and there
It's
was
not
probably
bad in today's economy.
it's not bad in today's economy. And if there was a third support act on there, which there usually is in some of these massive headlining gigs, you can break it down even further, can't you?
I know, and there's cast as well. There was cast.
That was cast,
So
yeah,
I was
yeah.
very lucky, yeah.
Yeah, so you see three or four bands that you love for that kind of like 150 quid. So back to you guys. So where do songs usually start for you? And again, I'm fascinated by this because I've talked to a couple of kind of like playwrights or people in theatre and artists on the third half, and kind of interested in this. What inspires you, and is it a kind of moment that you'll be maybe at an Oasis gig, or do you just sit down and riff on your guitar and something comes out?
I think that it shifted over the years because when I first started, it was a little bit more pure. It was just me and an
Mm.
acoustic guitar. That sounds cool. I'll keep that. But I think as I've gotten older, it's sort of like I'll just be listening to music. I try and listen to as much stuff as possible. I try and stay out of a bubble. Like I've
Mm.
not really listened to anything like Oasis or The Verve or anything properly in a long time. I've not delved into that for a while. I found myself getting more into like hip hop and Motown and stuff like that. It's just, but that's the thing. I look for sounds. I'm like, that sounds cool. How do I now make that something that's going to be Marseille? And I do, to an extent, think this needs to sound like Marseille,
Mm.
but I'm going to do it in a way that I want to do it because then it will still be cool. So the way I do it now is obviously, I said to you before, I'm studying music production.
Mm.
I sometimes sit in the room upstairs and just go on my computer and I'll like program drum beats or I'll sample something out of it and then I'll build something from a point. And if the music's sounding cool, then I'll sing on top of it and then you've got a song. I just go to the lads, there's a song, here's your parts, play them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, no, earlier it was more acoustic guitar and me, but now it's more I try and build something, and if it's cool, and if that's the good thing about it is the fact that I can just say it's not working, an hour and a half in, and then just say right, we're starting something new now, and if it's sounding cool, then I'll continue with it.
And do you rock up to the lads and say, okay, I've got a new song, and they all go, meh. It's all right,
They
Will.
don't have the audacity.
I'm just going to say, it's my ball. I'm taking it home if you if you don't want to sign up to this.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly. They don't have the audacity to do that.
and what about lyrics? You know,
Lyrics.
yeah. How do you get your inspiration for lyrics? So it sounds like with you because you've got such a strong music influence that you start with the music and layer lyrics on top. And is that a difficult process, or do you have moments of kind of like, oh, I want to write a love song, or I want to write I don't know, provocative song around climate or something like that?
So that's no. I should say actually, my lyric process has stayed the same all the way throughout. So what I'll do is, if I was on my acoustic guitar and I wrote something, I'd have my voice notes on my phone, and I would just sing random words to a melody I like. The best phrases tend to stick. So like if you've got a really good phrase, you'll keep that, and you sort of build around it. But most of the time, I like just writing lyrics off the cuff. I don't really think about it because then when you go back to it, you think, oh, that's what I was going through at that time. You don't realize it when you're doing it, but then you realize when you look back that it conveys a certain emotion, and it might not have been intended to be that way when you were doing it, but it's subconscious, and that's better because it's fallen out of you rather than being forced.
Yeah.
I think I'm a firm believer that you can't force music out of you.
Mm.
It's got to be something that you actually want to do
Yeah.
for it to work.
And that's really interesting because I was chatting to I had a conversation with Peter Sandberg the other week. I don't know if you've watched it or listened to it. In fact, we've not released the whole interview yet, but he's a pianist and a composer, and his music has been used on Stranger Things. I think I might have told you this offline. You know, it's been streamed 700 million times, and he started off making music to calm himself because he was diagnosed with ADHD at a very young age. And then more people came, and he developed this whole kind of like genre approach to music that it was, you know, almost kind of therapeutic in its sense. And I'm not a big classical music listener, but when you listen to it, you do kind of become totally immersed in this sound that he's producing. It's amazing, and it's been used on Stranger Things. And I always, my point of this is listening to you. I mean, I think you have to listen. You have to create stuff that you probably enjoy as well. Because if you don't
It
enjoy
comes
it,
across. It definitely
yeah,
comes across.
and if you don't get something from it, then sure, it must be, you know, not just difficult to get up on stage and actually sing it and
Yeah.
play it, but actually even to produce it would become a chore if you don't feel that kind of deep passion about it.
I'll go back to the point that if you don't feel something from it, how do you expect other people to?
Yeah,
Because you're the person that made it. So if you're not getting anything from it or anything out of it, then other people aren't either. I mean, there'll be the odd few that do, but
yeah. Go through the motions.
I think it's most important that you yourself do, because otherwise you're not going to get the best out of your live, and you're not going to get the best out of your music generally.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a fair point. So there's a lot of indie bands around, right? You know, old and new. What for you really makes Marseille Marseille? What makes you stand out?
We've said this a few times, and I'm not knocking any other bands because I think there's loads of great bands, but I do think that songwriting wise, it's kind of a level above a lot of others. Is I think that's our superpower personally. I think we've got great songs. Some of them are maybe too long, but, but generally there's a good song there. Yeah, I think that's what makes us stand out. I've never really practiced it. I just sort of, from a young age, I think I've always excelled in that area. And people have always said, well, the songs are great. Um, yeah, I think that's and also we've got a sound that not many other people are doing.
Yeah,
I think that because we take influence from different catalogues of music to what other young people are maybe taking it from, we stand out a little bit more. And like obviously, there's bands around that could just sound like one band from the 90s or two, or sound like a fusion of a few 2000s bands. But I think that we are quite good at having a melting pot where you can say, oh, there's a little bit of that, there's a little bit of that, there's a little bit of that, there's a little bit of that. And it's not anything anymore. It's kind of us.
and I think to this point about the stuff that you're listening to and influences ranging from all that kind of older stuff to hip hop and even going further back to Motown and not dare I say it Northern Soul and stuff like that. How you kind of capture that.
Yeah, I think that we're kind of blessed because we live in a world where technology is advanced and things. So if I'm trying to make a melting pot of that, well, I can just go on my computer, program a beat that's rooted in hip hop informed rhythms, and then I build something on top of that. So then maybe, usually with the Motown anyway, it's not anything that directly infuses the music. It's usually something that uh, influences the vocal melodies generally, because that's the thing of Motown I like. I like the pop sound of the melodies that sit on top and the
Mm,
harmonies. They're all the things that stand out to me in Motown.
yeah,
But it might be a hip hop informed rhythm, and then all the rest I just put a million guitars on it. It's
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of sound.
yeah. Does your mum and dad like your music?
I think so. I think so, yeah. But to be fair, which is what I do appreciate about my parents, is that they are brutally honest. So I'll show them something and they'll say, "Oh, this is amazing," but then it's not a guarantee that they're going to go, "This is amazing." And
Yeah,
I think that that's good. I think a lot of parents can be a bit deluded and think their kids can do no wrong,
yeah,
and obviously they can. But I quite like going to my mum and dad and seeing what they think, because I think it's more of a reaction of what the public would have
yeah.
than just somebody who's in awe of their child. So that's good.
I tend to think parents can be very black and white about stuff. I used to coach my son playing rugby, and like, whereas he could be man of the match and like most of the crowd's eyes, and I was like, yeah, but you missed a tackle, son. There's that kind of.
That's a dad thing, isn't it? I used
It's
to play football, and I could get man of the match. My dad had this in joke, me and him, and disappointed by electronic.
yeah, yeah.
Every time he thought I played badly, he'd play disappointed by electronic when I got in the car. And even when I played really well, he would do it to wind me up and play disappointed. And it used to really get to me. I remember once just breaking down in tears because I got in the car and the CD was put in and I knew what was coming.
You need to find something to turn back on him, like in years to come when he comes in the car and you're giving him a lift somewhere, and just put a
But
track
this
on
is
and say,
this is where the music influence is coming from. It's coming from him just winding me up.
"I've got to make better music now." So listen, give me a track for our audience. What would be the one track that you would point people to say that kind of sums Marseille up at this point in
What,
time?
a Marseille track or
A
any
Marseille,
track?
a Marseille track.
Yeah. Fever's up there. I mean, half the ones that I would say was somewhat Marseille are probably not out yet because we're sort of creating an album at the minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fever's probably the closest, and History as well. Them two, because they're so different. But
Mm.
if you put them together, it's kind of like you get a bit more of the melodic and you get more of the groove. I think you're a mix of both.
So Fever and History. Okay, so we'll get those up when we post this interview. And listen, let's. So It's been great to chat to you, but talk to me about, what's happening at the moment. You talk about the album. Talk to me about gigs, releases, and plans coming up throughout 2026. Bit of a plug here.
Yeah, so we're currently going, well, as of next week. Actually, no, this week we're going to Newcastle with Rosellas on Saturday, and then we've got a few more dates with them. So we're also doing London with Rosellas, and then we're doing not Newcastle, just said that, we're doing Manchester, Band on the Wall with Rosellas the week after. So yeah, we've got a few dates with them. They toured with us last year, so we're really good mates with them. We've got kind of we sort of gravitated to each other, and then yeah, we've got a few of our own gigs in late spring, June. We're playing York, Lincoln, and then soon to be announced, we're going to be doing a gig at the Social in London. So
Fantastic.
yeah, so just a really small one. That's to promote an EP, which is going to be hopefully announced soon. So I'm hoping it's going to be announced pretty sharpish after this interview, because then there's actually going to be a reason for me to say it. Otherwise, I just spoil it.
Is this an exclusive? Well, is this an
It's
exclusive?
exclusive as of now. Yeah, it's the first person I've told in a public
Magic.
setting.
Magic.
Yeah.
This is what I love.
Yeah, so we're releasing our new single tomorrow. Tomorrow, as of today, 9th of April. Tomorrow is the 10th of April, as we're speaking. Yeah, the next single, Hallelujah, My Baby is Free, is out tomorrow. So that's going to be a big one. And that's going to be on the EP. So yeah, the EP is called The Sun Will Shine Again for anyone listening.
Fantastic. Excellent. And where can people find out more?
They can find out more. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. It's the same on everything. It's Marseille Band. It's spelt Marseille like the French city. Yeah, named after the football club.
Are you a part-time Marseille fan as well as a full-time Derby County season ticket holder?
No, when we had the meeting to name the band, I was wearing a Marseille tracksuit, and we didn't know what to call it. And I just looked down and went, "Oh, it's not a bad name, is it?" We should have probably Googled it though, because there is another band called Marseille from the 70s.
Actually, I must I must talk to you about that because like when we connected and I started to do a bit of search, are they not a kind of glam rock band from the 70s or something like
And
pub rock?
funnily enough, it has Neil Buchanan from Art Attack on
Yeah,
guitar.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah. But I think we're beginning to overtake them in the Google search thing. I think the more I've searched us recently, the easier it is to find us.
Well, I've probably searched you about 526 times in the past sort of 3 weeks as well. So I'm adding to your Google search.
Yeah, maybe it's me. Maybe I just search myself too much, and now it knows who I'm on about.
Keep buying that record and pump it up the charts.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Well, listen, great to talk to you. Thanks very much for coming on. Third half on the turntable. We'll be trailing your music throughout the month. Good luck on the release of the EP and in the gigs coming up, and hopefully see you sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.